Hello, everyone. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Thank you for joining me today in Maria's Kitchen Live. And today I am going to talk a little bit about Cinco de Mayo and the history of why we celebrate Cinco de Mayo. So it is actually not Mexico's Independence Day. A lot of people think so. And Mexico's Independence Day is September 16th. And Cinco de Mayo is the Battle of Puebla. And Puebla is a state in Mexico. It's also a city in Puebla in Mexico, and it's our sister city. And outside of Puebla is a special battle that happened, and it was when in 1862 Napoleon decided he wanted to take over Mexico, and he invaded. And it was a pretty big deal because the French army at that time was pretty much one of the best armies in the entire world. So when they came, they were pretty, I guess you could say they really thought it would be easy to just take over. And it turned out it wasn't easy. The Mexicans put up a really good fight, and the French had to retreat. And so you have this example of this nation, a smaller nation, Mexico, just starting out. The president was Benito Juarez, and it was, we were just starting to form a nation. And that's when this huge, bigger country decides to just take over, and they weren't able to. But unfortunately, a year later, Napoleon did not give up, and so he brought 100,000 troops to Mexico and took over. And so he was in charge of Mexico for about 5 to 6 years. After that, he decided to put an emperor and in charge, and it was an Austrian named Maximiliano in Mexico, and his wife Carlota, and they were the emperors of Mexico. And during that time, and when Napoleon decided to pull out because there was still a lot of resistance, in 1866, Napoleon pulled out. Maximilian and Carlota stayed, and they continued to try to rule, and that didn't go well for them. And in 1867, it ended. And so Benito Juarez was again president of Mexico at that time. And so I love Cinco de Mayo because it really represents kind of like the underdog, the country that you didn't think was going to make it against something bigger and more forceful. And it makes me think of Ukraine and what's going on there right now is that the Ukrainians are amazing, and they are fighting back a big, powerful force. And so let's hope it goes well for them. And I also wanted to let you know with Cinco de Mayo, it's not really a big deal in Mexico. So it's actually a bigger deal here in the United States. We really celebrate it here. And in Mexico, they do like a parade in Puebla, but it's, it is a national holiday, but they don't necessarily close down for the day. It's not really a big deal. And in the United States, it has become a really big deal. And so when I think of St. Patrick's Day and how we celebrate Irish culture, that's what Cinco de Mayo is here. It's Mexican culture, Mexican food that we celebrate here, which I love. And I'll show you, I even brought my little Mexican mask just for today because I don't normally wear it because it's too pretty, but we did today. So why I think this is an American holiday more so than Mexican is the reason why I chose Frito Pie as our recipe today, because Frito Pie is not something you're going to see in Mexico, but it might be kind of like considered a Tex-Mex version of nachos. And so my father is from Texas, and he's American, and my mother was from Mexico. And so he introduced her to Frito Pie, and he makes a Frito Pie casserole. So I'm going to show you how to make two things, the Frito pie and the Frito pie casserole. And so the Frito pie, I'm going to show you how it is done. And it is obviously Fritos, very simple. And this is something that you would see in Texas and in New Mexico, but there are some differences. I'm going to talk a little bit about the differences of New Mexico and Texas versions of Frito pie. But it's basically, there's a bag of Fritos and some chili. So I am just going to pour in some chili into my bag because that's how some people say you need to eat your Fritos pie is with the bag. So you pour in your chili into there and then you throw in some white onions. So I'm throwing in some onions in there and some cheddar cheese. And the cheese has to be orange. That's what I've heard. So you could either use just shredded cheddar cheese or you can use Velveeta. That's been melted. And then I threw in some sour cream. And they say you have to eat it with the plastic fork. And so it's pretty easy. Frito pie, it was pretty delicious. And it was good. I had a good time making it. And so the Frito pie in a bag is something that you'll see in New Mexico and Texas. And there's a controversy about who invented it. So in New Mexico, there was a lady named Teresa Hernandez, and they claim she invented it in 1960s in the Santa Fe's Woolworth, which is now the Five and Dime. And she's the one that put it together, is what New Mexico says. Now, Texans claim the dish. And they say that in San Antonio, Daisy Dean Doolin, who's the mother of the Fritos owner, Charles Elmer Doolin, and this is in the 1930s. And so Charles Elmer Doolin owned Fritos, and so his mother, they say in Texas, created Frito pie. And who knows, who really invented it? It could have been Texans, it could have been New Mexicans. They say that they even have Frito pie in the Midwest, but they call it a walking taco. So I don't know. All I know is that if you go on the website for Frito-Lay, you'll have a very different recipe for Frito pie. And they're actually using the Fritos as a pie crust. So that might be worth checking out as well. And they also claim that in the test kitchen of Frito-Lay that's where they invented it. So it doesn't really matter who invented it. All that matters is that you decide to learn how to make it and try it out. And there are different versions of it. So I'm going to share with you my father's version, which is a Frito pie casserole. And so I am going to share basically a few of the steps that my father does to make this. And we live in Colorado, so I kind of figure we can just do what we want. And so there's no rules. In Texas, the rule is no beans in your Frito pie. And in New Mexico, it's okay to have beans. And but the orange cheese is real important for both states. So we had orange cheese in this one, but I'm going to share, I'm just making chili, and I have never made chili before. And so I'm trying to make like a Texas chili. So I'm just frying some beef, and then I'm going to throw in a few different ingredients in there. Some onion and some garlic is what I've thrown in. And I threw in a lot of onion because I like onion. My dad likes a lot of onion. So he would throw in a lot, and he would make them like really big pieces in there. I kind of made them a little smaller. And so I'm just cooking all that together, and then I throw in some spices. So I have a little bit of salt and pepper, and then I also threw in some paprika and some ancho chili sauce in there. It was just a recipe I found. I threw in the tomatoes. Um, they say don't put tomatoes in your chili pie, but to make chili, Texas chili, you need tomatoes. So I threw that in. And so I'm just cooking that, and I'm going to like fast forward just a little bit. And then that was a chipotle pepper I put in. And a chipotle pepper is just a smoked jalapeno pepper that I got from a can. But you know what? It added some great flavor to it. I really liked it. And then I put in some chicken broth. You're supposed to put beef broth, but I didn't have beef broth. So I put in some chicken broth and then cooked it so that it was, you'll see here, kind of nice and like not too dry, but not too wet either. And that's what I'm going to use in the casserole. And there are hundreds of recipes in YouTube, on the internet, where you can find all kinds of different versions of Frito pie. I did not realize how popular it was, but it really is. And it was tasty. So I'm going to be honest with you, I loved it. And I am going to definitely do it again. And so here I am just assembling it. And when you're assembling Frito pie casserole, I'm just thinking, hey, it's more like a lasagna. You're just going to layer it all in there. So I have my beef in there, and then I'm going to add some ingredients to it. And you can add whatever you want. I just kind of added what I had. So I had some corn, and that's actually frozen corn. And I'm just pouring that in there because I love corn. And then it's another way to add your vegetables in there. If you love bell peppers, put some bell peppers in there. That would be tasty. And then I'm going to throw in some onions, and because you can never have enough onions, according to my father. Onions are the way to go. And then you got to throw in your Fritos. I think that's what I'm throwing in next. And so I've got, and basically you can make your chili, or you can just use canned chili, and whatever chili you want. And so I also added, I did add some green chili, some Pueblo chili in there as well. So don't forget some Pueblo chili, because actually I did put some of that in the Texas chili. And then there's your grated cheddar cheese, and then I threw in a can of pinto beans. And I didn't even measure it all out. I just threw it all in there, because when it comes to casserole, you really have to measure too much. If you cook long enough, you just kind of use your hands and just throw stuff in. And so here I am just layering it some more. If you wanted to put some chopped tomatoes in there, you could do that. I figured I had enough with the chili, because I had put a can of tomatoes in that one as well. And so, some people would have even called this like a tamale pie instead of a Frito pie, but they actually, you're gonna cook when you've got everything finished. You're actually gonna cook it for about 30 minutes at 375, and a lot of those Fritos seemed to work pretty well. They were still actually crunchy. And then you can always put some on the side. So as you can see, I am putting some more Fritos on top. Your onions. Just whatever you want. We're in Colorado, so there's no rules. You do what you want. And that is the Frito pie assembled. And then you put it in the oven, 30 minutes at 375. And then I am going to share with you the final product. So when you pull that out of the oven, it smells wonderful and it tastes even better. And you are actually, and you can see that it's pretty crunchy on top with those Fritos. But I did add Fritos on the side because why not? Fritos are tasty. So there's your Frito pie. And then also there's some hot sauce there if you wanted to add some hot sauce. And when you're putting the Frito pie in the bag, you can also add hot sauce to that. They say that's okay to do. And so here I just threw some sour cream on top and some spring onions on top and then there's going to be some Fritos on the side. There we go. That was Frito pie. And it was good. So I picked Frito pie because, in my opinion, it's a very American dish. And Cinco de Mayo is so popular in the United States. I think of it more of as an American holiday. But, do whatever you want. Have your Frito pie. I hope you give it a chance. Try out the different ways to make it. Try it with the bag. You don't have to eat it out of the bag. You can put it in a bowl, or you can do the casserole. And go on YouTube and on the internet, and you'll see all kinds of different recipes. Whatever you think would be good in there will be good. So I hope you enjoy your Frito pie and have a great day and happy Cinco de Mayo.